Hey, sports fans. Greg Medford from Medford Knife and Tool, MKT USA, and ASK Knives behind me. Welcome to the show. We have spent the last couple of weeks running around to make this happen. The last couple of days doing all the technical stuff, plugging into the system. You'll hear some sounds in the background. We're here at the factory. There is actually automated elves on the other side of the building cranking away, making stuff. The wire EDM's cranking away. So I thought it's, we started doing this just before COVID, and it's been this unique way for us to reach out. Instead of just doing shows, and many of you we've met face-to-face over the years, but a lot of people, most people, frankly, can't make it to shows. So we started doing this because we thought it was a great way for everybody who can't make it out to Atlanta, take a few days. Maybe sometimes there's people who want to buy a knife. They can't afford the drive, the fly, the hotel, the food, the restaurants, the socializing, and buying a knife, and getting in the show, and getting home. Sometimes they just want to get a knife. So we thought we would just kind of do this, not as a replacement, but as a supplement, as kind of a way to let everybody be involved. There's folks up in Canada who are going to buy a knife. They're never going to drive down to Atlanta per se. We may have somebody in Europe who's crazy about one of our knives. They're generally not going to make it to Blade Show. So we started doing this, and it just kind of turned into a thing. So here we are. Jeff, is this year 4 or year 3 doing this? So third year doing this. So it's actually been really fun doing a live show like this. We actually whooped together this little studio here and invite everybody into the house for a little while. As we approach the Christmas season and the seasons change, here in Arizona, it's a big deal because it goes from being 190 degrees down to being a really nice 75 degrees. You think about the change of weather. This year, in the last couple years, we've lost friends. We've lost people close to the shop. I've lost friends. I know many of you have lost friends. And it's a moment to just pause and think about the changing in the seasons. It's a moment to think about the end of the year coming and starting again anew. It's the cycle of life, Hakuna Matata, right? I think about, oddly, in the last 18 months, I've lost way too many friends. Just recently, another one. So I always think about them when the holidays come around, because I know I won't get another one with them. So you're going to get some friends and relatives with you this season. Hug them, be with them, enjoy them. You never know. It's like a country song. You always can until you can't. All right, I want to talk about a couple things happening in the show. We're going to blow through about 55 knives at blistering pace. At the end of the show, we have a big announcement about the Titan. For those of you who remember, it was a knife that sold for 6 figures last year. That knife is going to be making its way out to the knife community, and you don't actually have to be a baller to have a chance at it. It's a really cool opportunity that Jake, the Medford guy, has put together, and he's done it in conjunction with Jeff, and they've got a really cool thing. He wanted that knife to go to a fan, and it's not often a fan gets to have $100 kind of premium, ultimate offering from a company. They usually go to big boy collectors or connected people, and it did, and now it's going to go to you. So we're going to do that at the end of the broadcast today. We're also going to be giving away a couple of knives. We're going to be giving away a knife to somebody who buys a knife during the show. If you buy a knife during the show, you qualify for a giveaway. So at the end of the show, we're going to run through the sales, and everybody who's bought a knife is going to be in the drawing. So let's say we sell all 55 knives that we're going to list today, somewhere around that many. You have a 1 in 55 chance. If we only sell 36 of them, you have a 1 in 36 chance. I think we'll sell them all. We're going to also give away a knife to a veteran. Now, we had a customer who bought a knife from us, and they wanted the knife to go to a veteran. So, I'm not a real hero worshiping, bootlicking, all veterans are kind of guy, because I'm one of them, and I like to call bullshit on silliness. I feel like it was the greatest thing we ever got to do. We got paid to do it, and my country spent $1 billion on helicopters to get me out of there if I got hurt. So thank you very much. No thanks required. But as a nod to veterans, since we just had Veterans Day and the Marine Corps birthday, we're going to give away a knife to a veteran. It's kind of cool. People are downtrodden from all walks of life. And vets get a little extra nod if they're at a downtrodden point in their life. Sometimes it's a little thing that tips you back in the right direction. So if you know somebody out there, a veteran who maybe gets depressed around the holidays, maybe he's got some survivor guilt or some PTSD, maybe he got divorced and doesn't see his kids or her kids, maybe something, a little gift out of nowhere might just brighten their spirit a little bit. Maybe put maybe their first name and last initial and say veteran in the comments on YouTube. And then what we'll do is we will go through on Monday and we'll just randomly pick one of those. We'll comment to your comment. We can do that, right? Yeah. And we'll reach out to you. You give us their information. Then we're going to reach out to them, verify they're a veteran, and boom, the knife's there. It's pretty simple. Now, I want to talk just for a moment about the logistics of watching the show today. If you pulled up the show on YouTube, you can comment there. You should also pull it up at medfordknife.com/VHS 2022. You should have a couple different windows pulled up, okay? If you have the YouTube page pulled up, just, share a couple of pages. If you have that pulled up, you can comment throughout the show. And good comments are going to get repeated, and we'll comment back, and it makes it kind of a fun give and take to the show. So if you're watching this on your computer and you can get a couple of screens up, cool, or maybe your iPad and your phone, get it up on YouTube and at medfordknife.com. Now, if you're at medfordknife.com/VHS 2022, there's a button there. You click on that button. Austin, what color is that button? Is it green? There's a green button there, and it says purchase, right? Yep. When you click on that button, it's going to open up another screen for purchasing. As I finish talking about knives, I'm going to chat about them, and I'm going to put them over here. When I'm done talking about them, they'll go live. If it's a knife you really, really want, you should be there kind of click and refresh on that screen, and that will allow that, as we make it go live, to populate. If you don't, you're going to sit there and the knives aren't going to populate. So you really need 3 screens pulled up if possible. So get it up on someplace where you can comment on YouTube. Only need 2? Oh, okay. So you can be watching on YouTube and then just go to the other one and hit the green button. Okay. So you'd have 2 screens pulled up. So I just wanted to cover the logistics a little bit. People who jump right into the show, I'll review this a couple of times. So have it up on YouTube, have it up at medfordknife.com, hit the buy button, and then just kind of keep refreshing that as you're watching it on YouTube. Comment on YouTube and jump into the show. Lastly, the biggest announcement of the night is going to be our OTF announcement. We've got a special release, and we're going to go live with that at the end of the show. The OTF is, I'm going to say 90% done. I'm going to show it to you. The form factor is all there. The mechanics we've been working on for quite a while. It's got really cool new technology. We call it side hex lock technology. It is not, when you open it up, it is not a Ultratech on the inside. It's not a Microtech design. My cousin Steve and my cousin Steve's really been into it for months now. He and I talk every day about it, and this is our 3rd iteration of the knife, 2nd full big redesign of the knife. We've got a few tweaks to make, and we've come up with a really smooth, unique, out the front double action automatic knife for the marketplace that doesn't currently exist. So I think you guys will really like it. So I think I hit everything. The only other thing I wanted to do is really thank the folks who put a show like this together, and I'm going to thank them again at the end. This doesn't just happen. We don't have this set up all the time. So, in total, I've got Austin here, who's been doing a lot of this production part. Lindsay, who's been doing logistics and setup. Jay Lang has come in on his time off. Jason, he's done some laser work for me on some custom stuff today, and has been a part of a lot of the custom work you're going to see today. Bobby, who's not here, has taken all the stills. So just lots of time. And then, of course, Jeff's been orchestrating all of this. And as Jeff has been, he's been doing a no-shave thing. Jeff, what's your thing? What's your no-shave thing, in case anybody wants in on that?
Yeah, me and Jason are doing a 100-day challenge. No shave, no haircut.
So they're doing a 100-day challenge, no shave, no haircut. They've got a thing on GoFundMe. If you go on GoFundMe and search Jason Langston, Jason, and Langston. If you search that name, it'll pop up, and they're donating proceeds from that to a veteran suicide group. So I think it's a great cause, and God damn it, I can't wait for these guys to fucking shave because they just look like porcupines. All right, let's dive into it. What's that?
Trying to look like Carlos.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, and I almost forgot our IT expert Carlos came in and helped out. Carlos, thanks for jumping in and helping out. You are the best. Let's jump into it, Lindsay. Here, knife number 1. What's this one called? All right, you guys. First knife up. A lot of you saw this in the preview. Hey, just Austin, do you want me to just preview this out here like this, or should I be over in front of the little camera here? Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, all right, you guys, a little bit of an unscripted show, working out a couple of bugs in the first knife. Here we go. This is in a fraction. I was kind of in an Italian mood when I drew this knife. I did it several years ago. Turned out to be a hit. The knife locks really well. It's got great action. This happens to be in PVD, and it's been flamed for an abalone finish on it. We don't offer this finish anymore because it is hit or miss if it works, and you end up ruining a knife. As it turns out, we apparently made one that worked. It's a really sexy, understated, not just black knife. Not that there's anything wrong with a black knife, because we know black knives matter. Moving on, second knife. USMC Fighter. Everybody's heard me talk about this. I'm a former Marine. This is part of my DNA. When my grandfather passed away and I was in the Middle East, they said, "Do you want to go home? We'd rather have you here." And I said, "I'll stay here." And I sent my knife. I told the story to the president at K-Bar, and you could see him kind of get choked up and watery-eyed. And he's like, "Love what you're doing, Greg." This is my take on it. It is a knife that is made no compromises. It wasn't made of the cheapest, fastest, quickest way to do it for World War II with the cheapest amount of materials when all the good stuff was going to making airplanes and munitions. It's the absolute best material. It's got the best design, a full tang carry through, not instead of a rat tail. It's got a screw-on titanium pommel, an integral locking hilt so that there's no neck down or choke for a weak point in the middle of the blade. Just a fantastic knife, and has been a great seller for us for quite a while now, and I see it having solid legs into the future. USMC Fighter. Next. So the Praetorian Genesis. And each time I get to a new model, I'll tell you a little bit about kind of the zeitgeist behind the knife. When I drew this knife originally, I drew it this size. I printed it. All right, I drew it. I scanned it in the computer. I traced it in there, kind of got a working drawing, if you will. I printed it out to go hand make one, and it printed out too big. It printed out the full-size Praetorians. I'm going to pull one here. It printed out that big instead of this big. So I drew it this size. I intended it this size. It was the genesis of the Praetorian line, and I made the full-size one first. Then what happens is I made 10,000. I got 10,000 orders. I didn't know what the hell to do with myself, and I built the company around it. I just thought I was going to be this kind of asshole, pudgy knife maker locked in a 1,200 square foot shop, grinding away, yelling at people when they open the door. And look what happened. It's crazy. So the Genesis, I went back into my drawings, and I was like, oh, my God, look at the size I actually drew the knife at. We made the knife at that size, and we're like, oh, we kind of like it. Because a lot of people get their hands on a Praetorian like, oh, this is too big. Praetorian Genesis. So this S35VN with a nice tumble on the blades, so it's semi-satin. What are we calling this sculpting? Warp speed. I'm going to ask because the kids have got all these names for this stuff now. I don't know what the names are. I would have just called this some sort of angled candy cane striping. It's warp speed. It's got really nice deep sculpting in a couple different layers with anodizing, and it's just a lovely knife. As is typical with our knives, we like to contrast the hardware to the color dressing. Sexy, drop point, Praetorian Genesis. Now you know the story of the Genesis if you didn't know. the Slim Midi. So we had 3 sizes of Marauder because I made the large Praetorian. I made the Genesis Praetorian, and I was like, oh, I got this little tiny one too, a Micro Praetorian. We did the same thing with the Marauder. This is the Scottie Pippen of our company, right? The Praetorian's kind of our MJ, and Scottie Pippen's one of the best players ever play in the NBA, and he just gets lost in the shade that is the shadow that's cast by the Praetorian. But the Slim Midi, when this jumped on the scene, this was my first entree into a really slim, great, easy, pocket-friendly. We started coining the phrase pocket-friendly knife. This is it. So it's 3/8 of an inch thick. There's almost thin, I should say. There's almost not a thinner knife on the market. At the production level, there isn't. It's got really nice, I don't know, what do we call this? So it's got a lightning, I imagine, because the intersecting radiuses form a zigzag that looks like a lightning bolt. It's got contrast hardware. It's been bead blast and then gently brushed and anodized again. So a lot of these knives have got multiple layers of sculpting, surface treatment, handwork, anodizing, and we build this layer up to give you this texture and rich finish. Lovely knife. It is a MagnaCut blade. Greg, what's your hardness of your MagnaCut? Well, I started out at 59.60, and then everybody went cuckoo ka-choo. I didn't make a million of them. I made a couple of them, just kind of sneaking up on there. Then I talked to the guy who developed the steel, and we kind of worked a little bit with them. He said, no, don't worry. It gets stronger as it gets harder. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, I guarantee it, Greg. So we brought them up. They all kind of hang out around 62 on the Rockwell C scale now. So, new steel, new thing. I'm not a, entrenched guy, but to bring a new steel in, I'm a little tepid about how to do it. I don't want to just come blazing in and get my face caved in. Really sexy Praetorian T, guys. A Praetorian T, 1/8-inch slabs on the handle, 3/16 slab on the blade. It's got black Armalube. Now, Armalube is a physical vapor deposition. It's a cathodic arc technology, but it's different. This is not PVD. It is not DLC. Armalube is a product in and of itself. What's up? Oh, this one is? I'm getting ready to have this discussion on the only knife in the building that has. Why does this have DLC on it? Is this went out to the unique color people out? So we have some really kooky colors, and apparently we did some black. And I was looking at this going, man, it's really bright. So I'm just going to shut up. This is DLC, and I'll give you the little spiel on Armalube in a few minutes because it's the only one, and I just started talking about it right here. So Praetorian T, it's been the whole thing has been DLC coated in black, which is a darker, richer black than we typically offer. It's a little more reflective. And then the face, the outer facet of both handle and spring have been faced, and they've been anodized as well. So you've got this beautiful contrast of color and black, super sexy knife. You can check it out up close. Langston, you here? You watching comments? Anything good? If you got anything? All the knives are fire. All right. All right, so our next knife, you guys, this is our 187 DP. This has turned out to be the kind of surprise hit of the company. We offered this knife, and we didn't offer it initially with any upgrades. We offered it in a base steel, and it's just taken off and done really well. As we've done some upgraded steel versions of it, it's just performed amazingly over the years. This, in my opinion, is one of the best knife deals in the American knife scene. It is a hand-ground, handmade, hand-fitted, all American-made, right here at our shop knife. For what are these the base model retail for? The base model. Is it $550, $525, something like that? It's a little over $500 with our new price increase. We increased our price first time in 12 years, and we had to. I wasn't going to raise the prices, but they doubled my cost on everything. And I was like, well, it's time. We got to do it. You know what happens is companies, if the founder sticks around, they get entrenched in an old thinking and an old pricing. And the company at some point wakes up and doesn't have any money. And they go, what happened? And what happened is the economy every year knocks a percent or two off, and you get a 30-year-old company. It used to be on a 50% profit margin, and 30% of it's been chipped away, and there's no money left. So we raised the prices. That's the way of the world. Fortunately, we did it right after COVID. Nobody complained. Super sexy knife. It's got, I don't even know what to call this because it's got a kind of iridescent anodizing to it. And you guys can look at it up close, but the whole thing is hand sculpted. Is there some name we put to this? Chemtrails? So this has got pen anode, so that's done with a stylus. One of our guys does this instead of being dipped. So just a really sexy knife. That style of anodizing allows you to focus in. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure a lot of you do know, but it allows you to kind of artistically get in tight spots or just do it in one area instead of have it splash across the whole knife. What's that? Okay, so that looks normal to me. We've got a micropraetorian. It's got a lightning sculpting on it. And then after it was sculpted, it was sent out for Armalube. Now, Armalube, as I was getting ready to tell you about, is what we primarily do all of our mainline black with. Armalube is a really cool company out of Tucson, Arizona. They have Defense Department and U.S. Navy contracts for the saline coating for saline environments. So these really add a whole nother level of corrosion protection and resistance to saline environments that you can't get in normal sputter or cathodic arc technology coatings. It's a unique process. It is not DLC. It is not PVD. We just a lot of times say PVD because that's the closest thing to it, but it is called Armalube. If you want to Google it, it's a really cool product, and it's done here in Arizona. You know, they use it on submarine parts that are in the ocean water, and use it on deep water drilling heads. Give you an idea how rugged this stuff is and how pricey it is. It ain't cheap. What's lovely about this, for those of you who don't know the difference between, say, this and an applied color, there's no dimensionality to it. It almost has zero dimension. So we've spent several $1 million chasing inside of a thou or a couple tenths of stack tolerance on an entire knife, and then you go put 2 thou of paint on it to make it colored. You know, you go put some, what's the gun coat stuff everybody's? So you go put Cerakote on. I'm not saying there aren't places where you could do it, but it runs a little contretemps to our style of making. So this type of coloring allows us to make a really precise product, color it, and then we kind of get to hold that precision after it's done. Sweet little knife. It's in CPM 3V, and you can get a close look at it now. The micropraetorian. That's the one in case you like work in a financial office or there's some Democrats around who like pee might squirt out of them. Now, I'm not saying all Democrats are like that. You know, Democrats used to be pipe hitters too. But a lot of Democrats, you know, you take a knife out and little pee squirts out of them and they get mad and go to CHR. You don't want that. Micropraetorian, oh, what a cute little knife. What that's a sexy little knife. You take out a Gigantes, people are calling the cops on you. Moving on. I forget, you've got some name for this. What's the name you guys are calling this?
That one is Birds of Paradise.
Love this Birds of Paradise finish that Thomas has been doing. So we've got another infraction here, but it's been muted out and blasted and etched on the handle. And then it's had some really unique lines hand applied to it. And then it's been anodized on top of that. So you've got this dark gray with these colors poking through it. It almost reminds me of the nighttime sky and fireworks going off. I wouldn't call this Birds of Paradise personally. I would call this fireworks. I love it. Super sexy finish, and it really jazzes up a very mellow color and tone knife. Next, a Nosferatu flipper. Now, is this one sunsetted, Jeffrey? So this is sunsetted, meaning we're going to wrap up orders on these this year, and we won't make it for at least another year. It flips like a machine gun. It flips horizontal. It flips up. It flips down. It flips out. It flips any way you want to flip it. It flips like a flying Luenda. For those of you who are over 45, you might know what a flying Luenda was. This knife has been anodized blue, faced, and then it's got a wonderfully tumbled blade. It's S45 VN. Really nice, this kind of sheep's foot, hybrid, not quite a Warncliffe, but nice sheep's foot style blade. It's a very, very, very utility pocket knife, a very utility design of blade, and it's done on the chassis of the Nosferatu. So just a sexy little knife. It's turned a sinister, like really spooky looking knife, and it's just a really fun knife. So that is a Nosferatu flipper. Next, we've got a lightning strike or a lightning sculpted 187 DP. It's been blasted. It's been brushed. It's got lovely contrast. Gold, bronze, anno hardware, tumbled D2 blade. It's old school and sexy, artistic all at once. It's you're almost assured anywhere you go, you take this out, you have the coolest knife in the crowd, and you could work this thing till the cows come home. Next, we've got a really cool Nosferatu flipper. It's actually, is this PVD? Is this Armor Lube?
That is a PVD.
It is. So we had two PVDs.
And this is another PVD. This is the next one.
Okay, so both of these next blades coming up are all PVD. And what we did is we found another company that's doing some really cool colors, because Armor Lube is any color you want as long as it's black. So Nosferatu, this has got PVD all over it. It's got a copper color PVD titanium handles, and then PVD'd hardware and blade in deep contrast black. It is absolutely one of the most deliciously cool knives. You take this out at Blade Show amongst collectors, and they're going to go, wow, haven't seen that. What is that? That's super cool. Collector level, cool, everyday pocket carry, copper and black, super sexy. So same setup, PVD blade and handles as well, done at our little Secret Squirrel facility out in Southern California. I don't know, what are they calling this? This isn't rose gold. What is this?
Champagne.
It's champagne. So it's got the slightest tinge of gold to it on titanium. It is unique looking. You're not going to see it anywhere else in the show. And then a real deep, dark black contrast on the blade and hardware in actual PVD. Coffin blade, coffin clip, sheep's foot blade. Lovely, lovely utility knife. Next up, now all of you jarheads, I feel bad for everybody who's a veteran, because you don't get to have the Marine Corps birthday the way I do and the way we do. I'm going to wet my whistle here. Did someone just bring this out?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, Mom, while I spill soda all over this, would you, in my refrigerator, there is a thermos. Would you bring it, please? It had to shoot all over me. What am I going to do? That's what she said. You guys got a rag over there? Would you hand me one of those rags? Thank you. Slight intermission here while we get our area squared away. Thanks, Lindsay. Jesus, I'm like retarded. What can I tell you guys? That's going to be sticky. Somebody's not going to slip here. Oi, yoy, friggin' yoy. All right. As I was saying a moment ago, before the doctor so rudely interrupted us, I got Coca-Cola all over my hands. Dr. Pepper, I mean. I feel sorry for veterans, because they just, Air Force, Navy, Army, Coast Guard, whoever else, they have Veterans Day. It's nice you all can say, listen, these branches, we all hate each other. I mean, we don't hate each other, but we have our inter-service rivalry. They learned a long time ago, they said, listen, the Marines are a bunch of animals, just give them their own day. Just give them their own day. There's the civilized military, and then there's the Marine Corps. And somebody said, just give them the Marine Corps birthday. That'll be their day. As goddamn Marines can walk around singing from the halls of Montezuma all day long. They know there's one day a year you should stay off the road besides New Year's when the amateurs are there, and it is definitely the Marine Corps birthday. There are drunk Marines everywhere on the Marine Corps birthday. I recommend you always stay in. Keep your wives and your daughters hid as well. And your dogs. If you've got a good-looking dog and you don't want it pregnant, do not let your dog out of your sight on a Marine Corps birthday. Shit could happen. Your garbage cans will get turned over and your dog will get pregnant. We got a knife just for jarheads. Because I'm a jarhead. I can't help myself. I'm from the clan Jarhead. Thank you, guys. The Dr. Pepper off me. Got a USMC fighter flipper. This is my take on the USMC fighter that's been ubiquitous in the military, various versions of it, especially in the Marine Corps for, since World War II. I made a folding version of this knife. I know the president at K-Bar saw it, and it got his attention. He's like, oh, that's cool. And I did it for me. I just thought it would be fun to make it. We're going to see a really cool version of this later in the show when we show you guys the bellow wood knives. But for those of you who don't know, titanium slabs, 3/16. 3/16 blade. It's the exact same blade as the USMC fighter. What? Exact same blade as the USMC fighter. It's just been shortened. It has not been scaled down. Same height, same tip, same belly, everything. So it's got the full-size blade, shortened chassis, got a back strap that's integral to the pommel. This is a knife that you can bash stuff with if you are from the clan Jarhead and you want to fuck shit up. It is made for it. Stabbing, slashing, and smashing. All of it. Maybe you just want to take it out and just say, that's the best steak I've had in a year. Fantastic. Maybe that's all you want to do. It'll do it for you. This is done up in a dress blue version. So deep blue handles, gold, bronze anodized hardware. Back strap was hard anodized red, like the stripe on our gabardine trousers of our dress blues. And Armalube black, just super sexy. Now, there was no place to put a white hat on it, so you just have to kind of use your imagination. Those of you who communicate with the world through the written word and a crayon, this will make sense to you. Moving on. TFF1, my first folding knife design. I love this knife. If you ever want to know, what it's like to shake my hand, grab one of these knives and hold on to it. The knife shakes your hand. That's the size of my hand. The jimping is where my thumb sits. I just wanted a folding knife that was as solid and big and badass as a fixed blade. The very first fixed blade I ever made, I made and then made this to go with it. Jeff, would you do me a favor? In my office on my glass table, there's my original #1 knife. Would you mind going and grabbing that for me? I'll show you guys this. It was used to be called the Navoir T. Now, I made this out of an old Chevy leaf spring, and then this folder came along to complement it. And originally in my thinking, I was like, I want a fixed blade on my kit. I want a folder in my pocket when I'm out drinking that's just like my fixed blade on my kit. Crazy young guy. What can I tell you? Younger guy. So this has got lightning. So it's lightning sculpting, anodized bronze gold, and then it's been buffed, and it looks like they did Pan-Ano on it afterwards to add some color and lay it down on the lightning pattern. Super sexy S35VN blade. It's got a big belly, sexy hollow grind, and if you take a look at these two knives, this is the first knife I ever made, not including the one I made when I was 8 years old with Dick Manning in the garage at AC Motor Express when I was driving everybody crazy, and he gave me a file and said, Jesus, go grind the knife, kid. He was hoping I'd get hurt and go to the hospital. I wouldn't be there, and I just kept grinding and made a knife. That was my first knife. Really? That deeply ingrained in me this love for cutlery and edged shit and making things. So here's my first one I did as a grown-up, and here's the TFF one that goes with it. They're meant to be companion pieces. I ground this knife with Tom McGinnis. Tom died this past year, and he was there. I ground this knife, and he said, well, he was a kind of frontier knife maker, leather sheaths and bone handles and swoops and Damascus. I went out there, and he didn't have a knife school going. I said, hey, Tom, I want to learn how to make knives. Would you help me? Oh, I don't have a class going. Well, how much you make when you teach a class? He told me a number. I said, well, how about I give you that number and you just teach me a class? Because I bought a thing and I rented a building and I don't know how to make knives. I rented a building before I knew how to make knives. Greg, I can't follow my dreams. I've got kids. Greg, I'm married. I can't just quit like you did and go start my own thing. I can't do that. I'm married. Well, no, I got a pretty decent job. I can't walk away from that, Greg. I talk to people all the time. You live in the American dream. You got the American dream. Boy, I wish I could do that. I had 2 babies. I had a wife at the time. I was almost broke. And necessity was the mother of invention. I just did it. All I knew is if I could sell one knife, I'd know how to sell the second one. And by the time I sold the first 5, I could pay my rent. Next thing you know, I paid my mortgage and I never missed the bill. So the knife means a lot to me. And it was made with my friend Tom McGinnis, who has since passed away, Ozark Knife Makers out in Ozark, Missouri. And I made the knife, and he and his brother were standing there. And they had suspenders and big bellies. You know, they ate at the Chinese buffet every day for lunch. Well, what are you going to do with that knife, Greg? I said, well, I'm going to make some more of them. Well, what are you going to do with that? Who'd buy that? That's what they were thinking, you know. And I said, well, I'm going to make the coolest knife company in the world. They kind of laughed at me. Then the next year they saw me at Blade Show. Boy, you're making a lot of knives, aren't you? Then the next year they saw me at Blade Show and they said, wow, we've been hearing about you. 3 years into it, they were like, hey, you want to come teach a class on knife design? And it's just a really cool American success story. These lovely old gentlemen in the knife business were so unselfish, so happy to teach me, and they did it with this knife right here. They put a poster up at the place and said, you know, if one of our guys made good, you know. They were so proud of me like dads. It was kind of neat. The TFF1, super sexy knife, and it's where it all began. From the TFF1, of course, I had the Praetorian tie, and guys are like, I wish you'd make the TFF1 in like manly size. And I'm like, it's perfectly manly size. What are you talking about? And what they did is they wanted it gorilla large. So we made the Fat Daddy. Now, I made this knife. I put it together. There was a guy named Mark Bonzer. We called the Bonds who worked, and he goes, man, that's a Fat Daddy. And we were like, okay, that's what we're calling it. So the Fat Daddy is exactly the TFF1. This one's got cool sculpting on the spine. It's got sculpting down the handles that match what's on the spine. There's really cool artistic tie-in to this. A lovely chunky knife with a great look, great style, black contrast, Armalube hardware, and a full-on style clip. It's just a pretty sexy. Oh, and this has got, is this rose gold PVD? Is that what they call it, Warrior PVD? It looks like rose gold. It looks like something a lady would have to put her hat pins in. It's a really Victorian-looking color, maybe tarnished silver, but they call it Warrior. One era's hat pin color for a Victorian woman is another era's Warrior. What can I tell you? Super sexy knife. Moving on. How many knives have we done?
15.
Holy smokes. This is a Praetorian Genesis tie. This is a rare knife. 3/16 slabs for the handles. 260 quarter-inch nominal thickness blade. Tonto S35 VN. It's an old-fashioned tumbled finish with black Armalube hardware in contrast. This knife says practical, manly, simple, work, hard use. You use this knife for 20 years and send it in to me. We'll spend a couple hours. It'll look brand new again. It is absolutely, this is a working man's expensive, badass knife. And no finger grooves. So it's real plain Jane. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of Sylvester Stallone's pickup truck from the first Expendables. Maybe it was the second Expendables. Just simple. It had a flat paint on it, if you remember. It's just badass. Stallone's been doing badass for a long time. Next, another TFF1. It's got lightning sculpting on it. It has a two-tone bronze and violet sculpting. Lovely in the hand. S35 VN blade. Contrast hardware and full-on branded clip. Next, I don't know. What are we calling this? What are we calling this angled? Is it called Predator? Okay. So this has got lightning sculpting down the spine of the blade all the way into the handle. Predator sculpting on the outside. Bronze hardware, bronze clip. It is a two-tone knife that beguiles a hell of a lot of elegance. It is a sexy, sexy knife. I hope you guys like it. TFF1 Fat Daddy. Okay, so that's our first 18 knives. We're going to do 3 batches of 18 today. I want to talk about a few things going on during our break after I wet my whistle. I'm going to talk to the doctor for a moment. Okay, what? No, I was just having a little drink of Dr. Pepper. Okay, a couple of announcements. For those of you who don't know, we started another company called ASK. It is a division of our company. It is partly made here in our shop, partly made with the help of a stamping shop here in Arizona, with a Swiss turning shop in Florida, and a injection mold company in Scottsdale. We make the principal tools, blades, and steel parts. The ASK knife has been a passion project of mine for the last few years. We kind of soft launched it in January and went through some steel adjustments and a bunch of process stability, basically getting to where we can scale up and make this knife. We have 4 versions of this knife. What you'll see here, let me start with, where's an orange one? Are you grabbing me an orange one? Does anyone have a regular old orange one? I got 3 knives for our 4 models. I want to show them all together. Thank you. All right, so the first model, the Jefferson's been out for a little while. So this is the Jefferson. It's, get one out of a box. It's knife. Langston, would you find me a nice knife, please? I'll show you the Jefferson in a minute. We're going to go on to the Washington. This is number 2 in the design. Each knife has got 2 tools and a blade. Each knife has a different blade. The Washington is we call it a mono tanto. So it's got a tanto-shaped blade, a rangefinder bottle opener, and an M4 bolt scraper with some tools for that. Titanium liners, titanium Swiss turn hardware, fully modular, interchangeable. You can take these apart. You can put them back together. You can swap the handles on them. Just hand me any one of those. Any one of those will be fine. Don't care. This is the original, thank you, the Jefferson. The Jefferson is a drop point. It's got the tools that I wanted the most. If I was Thomas Jefferson and I'm walking around Monticello and I'm farming and building and doing all the things, what would I want? I'd want a little chisel, little bits here and there, a little thing, doorknob, a little wedge, a little thing around a window, scrape a little thing off of this, a little of that, pry on this, wedge this. I got an iron thing stuck. I want to pry in it a little bit, so we put a little crowbar chisel. It's got a little gripper, a little knurled, tapered gripper with a 1/4-inch hex. Bottle opener, which is one of the best bottle openers I've ever used. I drove everyone crazy with that. It's got lovely hard half stops. It's got a slight break to a locking lobe that we don't see anybody else doing in the industry. Big, oversized nail nicks now. Lovely action. That's the Jefferson. The Washington's got the M4 bolt scraper on it and the rangefinder. If we go to the next, it's the Ironsides. The Ironsides has named after the ship, the Ironsides. It's got a 6 blade. It's got a Zeus 1/4 turn for Zeus fasteners on boats and airplanes, and a bottle opener because, well, most boats have got bottles that need opening. It's obviously in Corsair blue, titanium liners, titanium hardware, fully modular. You could take any one of these knives, you guys, and you can swap the blade out. You can buy a 6 blade and put it in your Alcacer. You can buy a Tonto blade and put it in your Jefferson. You could put a Warncliffe in your Washington. You can swap them all around. You can swap the handles. There's just all kinds of things. And I'm going to show you some options. while we're playing around here in the break, okay? The last is our Alcace, which is named after a Native American scout here from Arizona. Got the Congressional Medal of Honor during the Geronimo conflict, Geronimo campaign. So it's got a Warncliffe blade. It's got an all needle and a bottle opener on it. Now you can take any one of these and expand them out to a 3-tier, or you can drop them down to a 1-tier. I'm going to show you the next offering from our ASK line today. This is called the One. Are these available now? Does everyone need to keep doing the sidebars, or can we? It's super distracting for me. It's hard for me to do this while everyone's talking. Does the One? Are there any of these available currently? All right, and they can buy these. Where are they on the website? If you go to ASK. Yes. So this is not on the show part. This is at ASK, ASKknife.com. If you go there, you will see the One. We have got a bunch of these in stock. It's got a nice Roman numeral 1, and it's got a drop point blade in it. These, in this package, Jeff, they come with 3 separate handles, right? Correct. So when you buy this knife during the show today, for some limited time, you can get 3 additional scales with the knife. So they get to pick them out. All right, nice. So we've got a bunch of different camo scales. So you can check them out, but I'll show you. We've got a really cool black and white with the One. We've got a really cool red, white, and black. We've got an orange, gray, white. Just having a ton of fun with these. I'll show you this one. This one here is kind of a Marpat, woodland Marpat. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm actually going to pick them all up and move them over there. And then Lindsay's got a really cool knife. I'm gonna put these down here so you guys can see these. I'm going to show you guys Lindsay's knife. You'll see a bunch of these options here, different flags. We got a Betsy Ross 76. We've got this. I love this one right here. I mean, I hate what it's about, but I love its symbolism. And if you're, pro-America vet, or you lost a buddy, that's the kind of thing that'll always kind of make you think of it, reminisce a little. Lindsay just had the guys make this for him. We're going to start offering these options. So this is actually a famous skateboard pattern, and then they pulled some color out of it, contrast anodized the liners, and this is just, I'm going to put it here. You'll see it come by. Just a really, really fun knife. We're starting to do, you'll look here, you see there a camo knife with bronze ano liners and hardware. Super cool. This one's same camo, blade down in here. Just a really cool little bottom of the pocket knife that would just almost never get you in trouble. I mean, you can't go on an airplane with it, but nobody would get their feathers ruffled by it. It's got really nice blue accents with a gray, black, and white camo. So there's just a lot of cool creativity coming out in ASK right now. You guys should definitely take a look at those. We've got, why don't we, that gives everybody a chance to see those. Let's pull this one off here. I'm going to let them see a couple more things, and then we'll move on. So I want to show you an example of some stuff we've been doing so you guys can get an idea how cool all of this stuff is. So airplanes from history and warfare. Motorcycle, we've got bikes leaned over, Ducati, KTM, Aprilia, just a bunch of cool, unique stuff. And we can do this guy for you guys if you want one of these knives. We can really personalize it for you. So really cool thematic stuff that we've been doing here. Let me show you another example, and then we'll get back to the show here in just a minute. These are really cool surfboard and skateboard designs. Those of you who are kind of in that universe will see some stuff here that's real familiar, and you'll know. Who's the designer? Who's this guy? Did yours? Oh, I forget his name. I was standing in a group of guys. What's his name? No. So I was standing in a group of guys the other day, and I was the only guy in the group who didn't know. So apparently, if you're under 40, you know who this is. I don't know who this is. Let me show you. Lindsay, you can take these. Let's do this. Let's take that whole thing away, okay? All right, guys, I'm going to show you one more batch. These are all buildings and spires from around the United States: Washington Monument, Sears Tower, Space Needle, Rockefeller Center, Chrysler Building, the U.S. Capitol. We did this because we wanted to honor a cesspool. Kind of fun, just having fun doing some different designs. You can take all of these away. And I'm going to put these down here also. I'm going to let these rip right here for a few minutes. Okay, so that's our ASK announcement after the first bunch of knives. Let's see. Oh, is it time for, let's bring in our med heads. Let's bring in Sherrod from Med Heads. So, guys, many of you know, and some of you don't know, we had a T-shirt, a little dust up, a little Donnybrook, a little, I don't know, a little kerfuffle, a Donnybrook T-shirt gate. We handed out a shirt that literally got me hugs when I was handing it out. And as soon as it hit Reddit and the skinny jean top knot crowd, they went bonkers. So 12 kids masturbating in their mom's basement, all covered in oil with frizzy hair, decided I'm a racist asshole. And they're only half right. Anyways, they went bonkers. And the guys at Knife Center, who probably, like the ownership, they've butted heads with me before. I'm an easy guy like if somebody said, oh, he punches women in the face, a lot of people are like, oh, I could see that because he says bad words, which I don't punch women in the face. But they'll believe anything if you'll say cunt in public. They'll believe you'll do anything. Oh, he rapes children. He ate a baby last month. Merry fucking Christmas, right? So we lost a customer over it. Knife Center, they don't do business with us anymore. Unfortunate. At some point, some adult will get their wits back about him and we'll do business with him again. In the meantime, we had a couple other customers got a little squeamish about it. And I just wanted to poke fun at them because we're letting babies and whiners and tattletales and the most un-American, uncreative, unthoughtful, and uninteresting people stir discourse in America. And when 12 of them or 15 of them get in a mob on Reddit or some other stupid website and they go after a business owner because they've got hate in their hearts and maybe they don't know their dad's last name, those folks put things up. And good people, conservative people a little more refrained than I, they can go up about it. So we asked the folks, the MedHead guys, it's a group on Facebook. There's, I think, 1,500 of them. They wanted to do a giveaway and asked us if we'd send a T-shirt for the giveaway. And I said, well, hell, let's send a couple of knives. We're knife makers. So we sent them a couple of knives. And the way someone could win the knife is they had to send a little note to Blade HQ. Now, I'm an asshole, but collectively, we're really nice folks. And I said, hey, we don't want to ruffle these guys' feathers, but let's send them a little love letter. And the love letter was, roses are red, violets are blue. We love Medford Knife and Blade HQ. Now, no customer service person, after reading 20 or 30 of those, is like hating their day. They're like, oh my God, I got another one of the roses are red things from Medford. It was just funny. And we wanted to let them know there are more of us who don't mind saying the truth and like cool shit and don't believe the hype. There are more of us than there are skinny jean wearing, twat not little ding dongs going batshit crazy on Reddit. And it's true. So here we are. Sherrod, are you there?
I'm here.
Sherrod, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
Good.
Awesome.
So Sherrod is the president of the, what is it called? The BMC?
The BMC, the Black Medford Coalition.
That's right. He's the
And the
president of
Medhead.
BMC. We're happy to have him on board. Sherrod, everyone's gonna say that you're my Uncle Tom. Talk to me a little
Right.
bit. We've been talking for like almost a year now, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Going on a year now. It's been quite an adventure. Hey, I just love not only working with you guys, but the Medford community. And, I've been a part of a lot of different knife groups, but the Medford community, man, is something special. There is an amazing group of true, real, genuine people in the group. So love being a part of the family.
Well, we like having you be a part of this, and we're glad we could support. How many members do you have in your Facebook group now?
So we were shooting for the 1,500 mark. We're not there yet. But over the past, and the giveaway only ran for a week. I want to say an additional 300 members added to the group since then.
All right, cool.
And a little over 200 emails went to Blade HQ.
All right.
So yeah, it was awesome.
It wasn't to harass Blade HQ. It was to let them know that there is a silent majority out there, and it's the silent majority on almost everything that silently just kind of goes along. And there's these screaming lunatics with vagina hats and buggy eyes. And when you meet really skinny, wafy guys who don't look like they can get laid and they're really pro-choice, chances are you'll find them beating off on Reddit. Anyways, let's move along to the next thing. Hey, Sherrod, did you pick a winner? Did he drop off? Yeah. So, gosh, I can't believe we just dropped off in the middle of it. See if he pulls back up, and we'll jerk him back into the show, okay? So, anyways, they're going to give away a couple of knives that we gave them. He's already picked them out through his list. And if you guys want to support them in that community, they've been really supportive, and they haven't been some of the groups are really cunty. These guys are not. They've been great. Hey, Sherrod, you're back.
Sorry about that. I was trying to turn my camera around.
Hey, did you pick a winner?
Okay, so this real quick. It's not gonna take long at all. So this gift set, which includes a custom knife box, a wallet. This was donated from EDC Specialties. They are one of 3 Nexus Pro shops for Medford in the nation. So also includes a VIP membership to the Knife Lounge. So this is going to be given away. Is there somebody that can watch the chat real quick?
Yeah, we're watching the chat right now.
Okay, so the first person in the comments that whoever's watching can see that can name the birth date and place of the United States Marine Corps is going to win this set.
Cool. So somebody's going to put that up, you guys. There's some stuff donated by EDC Specialties. Rob and Greg up there are awesome. Greg actually came to the factory and got trained on tuning and putting our knives together. So he's pretty spooled up on our stuff. If you're ever up there, it's Gold River, right? Gold River in Sacramento, California, one of the suburbs. The guys.
Yeah, and honestly, if you just type in Sacramento, you'll pull up the location.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Anyways, are we going to give away a second knife, or are we doing that at the time, or are you doing?
No, we're doing all 3 knives right now.
Okay.
So
what's
this
the
is
next knife?
this is the way it's going to work. There's three prizes. You got the 1776 prize package with the ASK 1776 theme. We also have a PVD fighter flipper with 3V steel. This is an amazing knife. And then also another rare one, because it's an S45, is an infraction.
Nice.
And this, I don't know, this thing is just so butter. It is so freaking smooth. I almost hate that you guys sent these to me and then I have to send them out.
Let's get to giving them away.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Out of time.
All right, sorry. Here we go.
No problem.
So we're gonna take our list, drop it into our randomizer. It takes 2 seconds.
Okay.
Hit our random. Now, I'm not, because of time's sake, I'm not going to go through all of these, but if you see here down at the bottom, we got 213 entries.
Just pick the
So
number.
the way we're going to pick our numbers, and scroll down, 213. So our first winner, which will get to select which prize pack they want, number 54, our second winner, number 191, and our third winner, 211.
All right, so Sherrod, that's for the 3 remaining knives, correct?
Yep.
All right, so I'll let you guys dive into that. You can go back and check this later after the video posts. He'll reach out to you, and he'll be in touch with you. Sherrod, thanks very much for participating. Let us know what we can do to support you in the future, and love having you guys as part of the MK Tooligans.
Hey, it's a privilege. I really appreciate it, Greg. Have a great one, and love the show.
Yeah, thanks. And it was nice talking with you last night. That was a nice
Yeah,
chat.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, take care.
All right,
Merry
thanks,
Christmas
man.
to you and your family. All right, you guys, back to the show. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, don't forget at the end of the show, we're going to be doing a very special announcement about the Titan, and we're going to be releasing our OTF. The OTF will not release till the end of the show. You guys are going to want to check it out. It's super sexy. I've got 3 new models I want to show you very, very quickly. We've Sunrise the Deep, which is a really cool original diving knife. And we're going to be making this again this year. So anybody who's interested in this, this is going to be back in the catalog. Next knife we came up right now, the working name for it's called the Bushy. It's a little bushcrafter knife. Bobby Bushcraft is working for us and this year. And because it is influence and fun in the building, we wanted to do something was for this crowd. So a really, really cool bushcraft size knife. Now this one's got solid aluminum handles on it because this is an actual mold prototype for making the leather sheath that you see here. It comes with this style leather sheath. Lovely knife, currently called the Bushy. We'll come up with some other name. And then for those of you who've been around for a while, I made a knife for a friend of mine who was a Marine years ago named John Parrich. And the knife he asked me to make, he gave me a typical Marine, and I'm not kidding. It was a fucking crayon drawing. And I said, okay, well, let me make this into a knife. And it turned into the AIO. The AIO was a really cool knife, a little awkward lines and a couple things about it I always wanted to kind of clean up. We decided to relaunch the knife and give it some sexy lines and fix some of the naivete of my very early designs. So this is the AIO 2. It's a really fantastic, it's got a fully flowing contoured handle, fire starter groove, forward lash, quarter hex, hammer back, just an awesome blade. It's got lashing notches for making it a spear. This thing is meant for going out in the field. Nice, big, old, nobody is doing sheaths like this on what would be considered a light batch production style knife. Nobody's doing this kind of sheath. The only people doing sheaths like this are me and Randall. It's a really cool sheath, really cool knife, and it smacks of somebody who wants to use it and is going to do some real hump out in the field with it. All right, you guys, so that was our break. ASK stuff. We've got some new models that'll be available. You can dive into those. Are those currently up on the website also, Jeff? Okay, so those, we're announcing them, and they're not even on the website. That's because we don't even have pictures yet. But in the next week or 2, they're going to be up on the website. They might even be up Monday because I want them up on Monday. And we'll put pictures, placeholders of the prototypes so you kind of see what's coming at you. Let's jump into the next batch of knives. Fat Daddy. This is an Armaloo blade, right?
That's PVD.
Okay, so there's not...
I'm sorry, it's Armaloo, yes.
Armaloo blade. Armaloo, oh, geez, I better put my glasses on. S35 VN blade, big hollow grind, big 3/16 slabs, Fat Daddy. What is this called? It's a Galaxy Face and Flame. You can see why it's got a really cool look. Contrast, Galaxy Flamed style clip on the back side. How are we doing on time? Are we doing okay? Am I running way behind? A little bit. Praetorian Genesis. This thing was anodized, then faced. It's got flame contrast hardware, tumbled S35 VN blade. Really cool Praetorian Genesis. You know, it doesn't look special until you turn it a little bit. And they're like, oh, what's all that? A lot of little stuff going on. Cool knife. What are we calling this? Okay, so this is a armor lubed handle and blade on a slim midi Tonto, which is such a sexy look. And then this has got this sculpting. Guys, this sculpting is really, really hard to do. To do turning freehand sculpting on black and not slip off and scuff the black, and then be able to anodize that afterwards, it's just really hard to do. We've got a great guy in house who's got great hands, Thomas, and he does lovely work. And this is one of the things he's been doing. We've also got Jason, who's been here for years and years and years, who's been leading. He was so happy to have somebody else join up that's got a lot of creative juice. Sexy, sexy knife. This will get people's attention. Like, you pull this out, not only is the texture really nice in the hand and very utilitarian, it just looks awesome. So, great looking knife. Slim midi Tonto. Micro Praetorian. S45VN tumbled blade, bronze anode, Predator sculpting, flamed hardware in contrast, absolutely lovely little Micro Praetorian. Oh, this thing, I saw this. What is this called? What are they calling this?
Laser tag.
Okay, so we've got another slim midi Tonto S45VN black armor lube, and then the sculptor, they're calling it laser tag. The sculpting on it, it's been pen anode over some micro sculpting. The knife is, it looks so manly and cool, and then it's playful at the same time. So just a really sexy little knife. What are we calling this? Dragon skin. So this is a infraction S45VN blade, gentle tumble, dragon scale, sculpting, both sides, faced contrast hardware, bronze. It's got a two-tone. It's been anodized kind of lavender, faced, bronzed on top of the lavender. Sexy little knife. That's our infraction. I used to say, if you haven't broken the law in a while, it's time for an infraction. Wow, this is a walk down memory lane. So one of my early knives, the Viper, this has got a stained glass sculpting, and this is laser anode, right? So really cool anode job done on this, focused just on the face. Just an amazing, sexy knife in every way. It is really an art piece you could carry. And all I can tell you is I don't know where this came from. We must have had some new old stock parts. This knife, I got shut down on this knife using the name Viper because Schrade was bought by some goons down in the Carolinas, and they told me it would confuse the $9 Chinese little auto that they had. It was $9, about this big. They said it will confuse the marketplace. Oh, yeah, and this has got I forgot to mention, I only did it on this knife. It's got a reversible spot, which normally sticks out for the clip, but because of the big facets of the stained glass sculpting, I didn't even notice it. So it does have a reversible clip. Ridiculously sexy knife, you guys. Predator sculpting on a 187 DP. This has also got some contour to it. Lovely knife, D2 blade, gentle tumble. This has been blasted and brushed. It's got a very alive feel and look to it. It's got great texture. Just a yummy upper class knife. Old school Marauder. Old school, full size, full thickness, in full, almost full polish tumble. CPM 3V blade. This has been blasted and brushed. Stained glass sculpting and semi-polished opposing hardware. So muted tones and shiny, sexy as shit. You know, parts of this Nishimoto would really like. Nishimoto! Been a while since we heard from him. Nosferatu Blackout Nosferatu flipper. There's not a lot to say about this knife. I've already told you about it. I've told you about the thinking, the design, the style. This is just the sinister blackout version of it. Fantastic looking knife and just flips like a machine gun. Just a lovely knife. I'll put it here so you can see it coming around the mountain. Next, this is a pinstriped Praetorian T and CPM 3V Armor Lube all over. So full armor lube, contrast baby blue hardware with pinstripe baby blue. Dark, sinister, very masculine knife with beautiful little hint of color. Praetorian T in Magna Cut. I don't know if I've even seen a Praetorian T in Magna Cut. So in Magna Cut, medium tumble. It's got a blue anno handle that's been faced. Contrast hardware in bronze and blue. Lovely action, just the way it's supposed to be. Lovely lockup, no play. A kind of sexy knife that's just utilitarian and awesome. Slim midi, intanto, blasted, slightly anodized, and then I don't know what is this the one you guys are, what are you calling this in Birds of Paradise? They call this Birds of Paradise, and I would call this barbed wire. I think it's really cool. It looks like barbed wire twisting around, doesn't it? Very, very sexy knife. It's got a contoured clip on it, which is hard to see, and just a really, really nice little everyday carry, pocket-friendly knife. Next, this is a super rare 187 DP. Titanium scales, titanium main hardware, stainless steel chassis hardware. It's got an iridescent blue anode done to it. Black Armor Lube. Only difference, the blade, S35VN. These are almost always D2. We played a little bit, made a couple of sexy upgrade S35VN blades for this knife. Super sexy knife, 187 DP in S35VN. Cool as it gets. Full size Marauder, old school. It's got a new tumble, contrasting black hardware, black blade, S35VN, Tonto 260. 3/16, which is 187-ish, 190 really for us, 260 on the blade. 3/16 quarter-inch nominal dimensions, big beast of a knife. That's the granddaddy of all these middies that you see. Okay, if you look at this knife online and you think about buying this knife, this next one, it's a Marauder, full size. It's pictured as a standard Marauder, but after the picture was taken, it got made sexy. So this has been fully contoured. I don't know. I'm gonna let you guys check this out up close. It's fully contoured and softened. I call this a melt. It's got a full melt on the handles. The damn thing feels like you're holding onto a pillow, and it's a big knife. So this is a Marauder, an S35VN black PVD blade, bright as milled, as turned titanium hardware, and then just beautiful pillow soft handles. Full size Marauder coming your way. Again, what number is that one?
Should be 35.
I believe it's 35 on, and will they see 35 on? It's 34. It's on the website. It's 34, and it's pictured differently than it actually is. So I just want to spend a minute and repeat this a couple times. Number 34 on the website, this bare bones tie-colored hardware Marauder with black blade. The description is there, but the picture's wrong. It is a fully contoured and softened handle. It's just lovely. Moving on, TFF1. Now we're going to change the name of this. They're calling this Birds of Paradise, and that's because girls work here. But this is going to be called Fireworks, because this is fireworks. Well, the other one looked like barbed wire, but it's fireworks all the way. S35 VN blade, nice medium tumble, big hollow grind, big belly knife, big thumb saddle, awesome TFF1 blasted, contrast, blue hardware, kind of a periwinkle blue with this, they're calling it Birds of Paradise, but I'm calling it Fireworks because I think it's bitchin'. Birds of Paradise. What's that? All right. Little walk down memory lane into one of my favorite knives I ever made that we didn't support it enough for it to take off. We didn't support it enough because we couldn't make enough of them, and I just had to pause something, and I paused this because it hadn't taken off. It's one of my favorite knives I've ever drawn and designed. This is the -2 version of it. Hey, what's this thing called? It used to have a coin clip on it that had the M in it. It was really cool. We put a more, you know what I've discovered in the knife business? I've discovered a knife gets one mulligan, it doesn't get two. It gets one, look, what's that? You do a weird line, do a funny thing, do an odd notch. You get one of them. You do two of them, people will reject the knife. So the odd thing about it is that the pinky rides over the back of the pommel. People are okay with that. They weren't okay with the coin clip. It just confused them. They're like, clip, round. That make no sense. Pocket, no good. Doesn't work. Worked just fine for me. I don't know, but this pocket clip, nah, it's not like my other pocket clip. I want it like my, okay. Since I'm not a primate, I just adapted a little bit instead of dying. And we put a little more palatable traditional style clip on it. It is absolutely one of my favorite knives. I just love this knife. The Theseus. This is blackout. It's got a polished faux bolster. Looks like it's got pen anno on it. Pen anno on the clip that's been faced as well to match the bolster. Sexy, badass little knife, and you won't see a lot of those. Guys, that's our second tranche of 18. We'll do our last batch in a little bit. Let me talk just about a couple of things. 2023 projects for our authorized dealers. Let me let you know about these. We haven't made the machete in a while. Knife Joy is going to be getting machetes. We're doing a bunch of them, right? You guys pay attention to me and interact. A bunch of machetes or just a couple of them? We're doing a bunch of them for Knife Joy. Those will land sometime in the next year. We're also doing the Gigantes. The Gigantes is a limited series project we're doing with two partners who wanted to jump in on that. One of them was Rob at EDC Specialties. The other was Al up at As Kicker. This is a Gigantes. For those of you who don't know, it is the knife that I shrunk down a whole bunch to make the Proxima, and everybody just loved it, and they started going for big money online, and people said they couldn't get them, so we're making a very limited number of them as a small AD project, authorized dealer project. Next thing was left-handed Praetorian Ts. Those are going to DLT trading, and then for those of you who are commercial customers who buy directly from Blue Ridge, they're going to have some of those as well. Left-handed, true, organic, left-hand Praetorian Ts. That means if you're a right hand and the slim midi, if you're a right-hander and you get a left-hand Praetorian T or slim midi in your hands, you're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? And then lefties who've adapted to righty their whole life, they get the left-handed knife and they go, I don't know if I like it. It's not like my other knife. But then I have some people who want a true organic. It's not who's right, it's who's left. And that's what it is. It's a left-handed knife, top to bottom, soup to nuts, tooling, everything. It's a left-handed knife. I don't even know why we're doing it, but they bring these ideas to me and I go, okay, we'll do that. Fair enough. We'll make some left-handed stuff. Here we go. We have the Nuckin' Futs. Who's getting the Nuckin' Futs? EDC Specialties. Rob and Greg up there in California are killing it. Anytime a dealer says, I don't know if I can sell those knives, like, hey, call up Rob and Greg at EDC Specialties. Ask them how their Medford room does. We also have an Ultim M48 coming out. So this is an M48 chassis, hard anodized with an Ultim face that you can look into the knife. Now, I'm just going to make it because I think it'd be cool. Blade HQ should buy it, but they're kind of, they're a little nervous about me right now. They're like a girl that you went out on a date with, And on the first date, maybe the second date, shit got wild. Nobody really intended to, it just did. And then you call them up because, yeah, we had a great time. We went to the rodeo, and then you set yourself on fire, and I had a extinguisher, and then that rubber thing showed up, and there was a donkey came running by, house caught on fire. And then you go to have your third date, and maybe they're not texting you, they're ghosting you. They're not ghosting me, but they're a little leery because the first couple of dates was so wild. We got a couple of knives, new knives also that I'm going to tell you about. These are new Medford Knife and Tool offerings. They're twists on a model you already know. Those of you, the Smooth Criminal has been an awesome hit for our company. It was meant to originally be our lowest price offering of one of our made knives. And as it turns out, everyone liked it so much, people asked us to do some upgrade twists to it. So we did. We did an auto project. It is a screaming little auto. It's a swing button lock auto. It's got Medford personality. It flaps out. It has no play. It's a lovely knife. Who gets these, Jeffrey?
They're going to the marketplace.
They're going to the full marketplace.
Smoky Mountain had them in S45.
Are they sold out?
I believe so.
Smoky Mountain originally had these in S45, and we're now out in the full marketplace with these. It is a fantastic knife. Smooth Criminal Auto. The next, so one of the guys in the shop, he's kind of quiet. He's very particular. He's also super smart and does great work, but he's quiet and particular. And he never needs really, he never bugs me about anything. He walks over to me and he says, hey, boss, he's got his hand out. He goes, hey, boss, I want to show you something we made. And he puts this in my hand. And I played with it. I'm like, what? I go, oh, wait a minute. This is different. What happened? What did you do? They went and on their own made an all titanium Smooth Criminal. And the thing is fucking cool. That's all I can say. I got it. And I was like, hey, can I keep it for a little while? They're like, it's yours, boss. Go ahead. I can't stop playing with it. I love this knife. It's got great sculpting on it. It is a full titanium Smooth Criminal. You guys, that's coming this year also. This one is really neat. I'll get it over here in the camera so you can see. But it's got sculpting on the back. It's got sculpting on the face. This thing looked like you punch a Cro-Magnon man in the chest and you rip out an ancient weapon of obsidian and it just turns in it. This is what he would really want. All right, moving on. The next thing is, let's see. That's our announcements. Oh, don't forget, after these 18 knives we're getting ready to rip through, we're jumping into the Titan and the OTF. I'm going to show you the OTF models. I'm going to play with them a little bit, and then I'm going to let you know what to do if you want to get one. We are going to release and allow the sale of these knives finally. They've been a year in the making. Somebody says, how much does an OTF cost? I go, well, the first one's $200,000. After that, they're $600 for a little while, and then the price will go down. All right, here we go. Last batch of 18 at lightning pace. S35 VN, brushed, tumbled around the edges, hand-faced. There's something so simple and lovely about this knife. It's got some cool laser work on the handle to add a bit of style outside your pocket. Everything about this knife is understated and fucking sexy. It reminds me, what's it remind you of, Jeff? Look at it. What car does it remind you of?
Porsche 911.
No. In silver like this?
Yeah, Arctic Silver.
It doesn't remind me of that. It reminds me of Back to the Future, the DeLorean. It reminds me of a DeLorean when I put my hands on it. I know, but it looked, okay. It reminds me of a John DeLorean. Not funded by cocaine and shitty, though. Moving on. What's that?
That's why I said 911 turbo.
It's a big chunky knife. It's nothing like a 911. All right, Jeff. Jeff and I will sidebar about knives later. We've got another Slim Midi drop point. This is a Magna Cut blade for those of you who are gay for Magna Cut. And when I say gay, I don't mean this. I just mean like happy. You're happy about Magna Cut. What's this? What are we calling this sculpting? Tremors. Tremors, like from the center of the pivot. There are little waves that go out from there like tremors. I get it. Okay, I see it. I see it. I would call it bullseye, but you know, what do I? Another Tremors, Magna Cut, drop point, slim midi, lavender with contrast hardware, just delicious. Don't forget now, hit your refresh button. You can see these things pop up. How many guys are watching the show right now? 12?
190, but our website is slow, so it's coming along for the night.
Okay. It's been a little clunky?
But we got something on the website that it's slowing us down a little bit. So.
All right. Okay, am I going too fast? No. All right, moving on. So the Gigantes, I showed you that. The knife that came from that is the Proxima. This has been anodized and faced. It's got a tumble, almost a polished blade. It's got a big hilt to protect your hand. This is a working, fighting, hammering, badass flipping pocket knife. And when you wrap your monkey fists around this, you want to stab the shit out of something. That's the way I feel deep down inside my little girl heart. Deep down inside my little lady heart. Let me talk to the doctor. Oh, guys, this knife is film noir. This is so cool. It's an infraction, Armalube all around, blackout. And then it's got some of what the ladies are calling birds of paradise, and which I'm not. I'm calling this thing fireworks. It is super sexy. I love how the lines shimmer on it. It is an understated. This is like a man in a tuxedo, and his lapels have got some pattern that match the cummerbund, but it's a black on black pattern. Super sexy. Not that I think dudes in tuxes are sexy, but a well-dressed, a well-appointed outfit is, of course, great looking. I don't know. What do we call this? Is this like light peaks and valleys? No. This isn't Gator Belly. What's this? Hammered. They're calling it hammered. It looks like very shallow peaks and valleys. It's got a great hand-done texture on it. A really, really nice slim midi and Magna Cut drop point, opposing flamed hardware. Everything about the knife is gentlemanly, sexy, and to be used. Great knife. Holy smokes, another Theseus. It's been faced with blue contrast. This is really hard to do the bolster in the faux bolster in a different color than the handle. Super sexy knife. Contrast baby blue hardware. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, ought to buy that. Micro-Praetorian. It's got a steampunk bronze engraved gears on it. Blackout Armalube. Steampunk on the handle. Contrast hardware. Even on the over travel limiter, it's in black with a bronze screw in the middle. Just a fantastic little surprising pocket knife coming out of nowhere. It's like Spud Webb. Nobody remembers him.
I do 5'7", a motherfucker get done.
Is it time for the USMC knives?
Sure.
All right, guys. We're going to jump into one of the coolest offerings of the night. These knives were a long time in the making. I've got the USMC Fighter Flipper and the USMC Fighter. These are the bellow wood models. We made 2 of each. What's unique about them is the wood comes straight from the stand of forest at bellow wood in France. I believe it's about, 12 or 20 miles outside of Paris. In World War I, the Marine Corps made a name for itself in that wood, in that stand, in that field in front of those woods, and made an assault on the Germans. They got the auspicious title of being devil dogs, Teufelhunden, from that battle. It shocked the world. The New York Times was there, watched it, recorded it. The Army had set up the Marine Corps to fail. They didn't really ever want the Marine Corps to exist. And the Marine Corps got funding all the way to World War II from that battle. The Bellow Wood battle is a hallowed ground and remembrance by military historians and Marines in particular. We've got a couple pieces of oak that came from the same tree. My friend Dan at DSK Tactical, he's friends with another Marine whose dad is the curator of the grounds of the Museum of Belleau Wood. They had a tree that had been hit by some explosives back in World War I, and it finally had died, and they gave me a hunk of the tree. I ripped it into some pieces. I had it stabilized. We machined it, milled it, redid some handles, slimmed out some stuff, and we have screwed it and applied it in place. Really unique application. There's only 2 of these, 2 folders, 2 fixed blades. I'll probably keep the other. This is natural oak on the USMC Fighter, and this one's been red stabilized because I loved the striping in it. I thought it looked beautiful. It's got the fluting of the handle. It's very reminiscent of the Marine Corps fighting knife from World War II, and we used wood from a famous battlefield of World War I. It says Belleau Wood. It's got the dates on it, June 1st through 26, 1918. On the top, it's got Latin longitude. Both knives have the same markings. They're fantastic collector's pieces, and they're not cheap. And a big chunk of the proceeds goes to the Semper Fi Fund, which, as you guys know, we support as a company. Every time you buy a knife from us, there's a spot there where you can donate. We have people donate all throughout the month, and then we cut a check at the end of the month and send it off to them. So I took the lead from Bob Parsons. I've got less zeros in my life, but I thought I would add the spirit of little donations to help out these wounded warriors, especially these guys who came back with limbs and blown off and grievous injuries from the last 20 years. And it's just been near and dear to my heart. They're awesome knives. I hope you guys take a chance to jump in and buy one of these. They are super rare knives. I mean, they're one of a kinds. They're 2 of a kinds. You're not going to get them anywhere else. Okay. Let's jump into a few more knives, and then we're going to talk again about the last special offering of the evening. I think you guys are going to love this. Just bear with me a little bit longer. We've got, they're calling this laser tag on a S35VN drop point Tonto Praetorian Genesis blackout with opposing hardware, and then they put these wonderful, looks like laser strikes across the face of the knife. Super, super pretty knife. USMC knives are off the table now, you guys. I don't even know what to call this. It's a TFF1 S35VN. It's had a bunch of interesting color and sculpting done to it. It literally looks like granite that's been polished in some stripes. I don't know what the name is for it, but it transfers across the clip. It's got all the sexiness of a TFF1 with some really, really artistic finish application on it. Just well done. The knife I'm carrying today, I carry an M48 personally. I use this thing all the time. And I also carry, and I've got a Jefferson done in the Gulf livery for the Le Mans car, the GT40. M48. This is done in tumbled titanium, black, armor lube, blood red, type 3 class 2 hard anno. It's got the dog. What's the dog's name? What is it? Willie, that's right. M48 on it. It's got the tread of the M48 tank, that patent design. It's got a reversible clip on it. Beautiful hollow with our Magnus ground tip. Just a lovely knife. First one of the night. This knife's been a big hit. And, it's funny. People walk up to the table and they, oh, yeah, Greg Medford, you make all those gigantic knives. Well, that's because they read it on Reddit. No, they read it in Blade forums from like 12 years ago. And then they see all of these other things and like, well, these are actually really, really normal sized. Super cool knife, M48. Flips like a machine gun. I think I was trying to kind of channel like what Patton would want his guys to carry when I designed the knife, okay? Nosferatu dagger, named after the black and white Berlin vampire film because it looks like a vampire fang. Did a machine bevel on one side, a ground bevel on the other. It's got a lock in the open and closed position, coffin-shaped handle, coffin-shaped clip, and you could only imagine sticking that in someone's neck like 3 or 4 times, they won't be ordering pizza again. I just love this knife. Super simple. Frank, it doesn't have a hilt. Well, it's not really for like campfire work. MIDI Marauder. I don't know. It's got this ladder pattern sculpting. Tops have been polished off. Anodized blue-black contrast. S35VN tumbled blade. Contrast blue hardware. Everything about this knife's really sexy. Awesome knife. Okay. Now we're over to a really sexy, swanky, surly, sharp Nosferatu with the lock on. It's been coated, it's been faced, and then it looks like it's been pen ano on top of that. So this is going to be a combo of our Armalube and anodizing. It's hard to see this on cameras, but it's got this beautiful flash of color over black, plus the kind of menacing edge. Everything about this knife is just evil and pretty at the same time. Next, we've got a combo. We've got some laser work that's been done on the side of a MIDI Marauder. There's been laser work and some sculpting into the handle, some milling into the center of the rounds to give it a little bit of texture and fun. So full 3/16 handle, 3/16 blade, Intanto, S35VN, MIDI Marauder. What's that?
Yummy.
What?
Yummy.
It's yummy? I'm hearing it's yummy off from the side. Next, I've got a really, this is a walk down memory lane here. This is a blast from the past. This is an Arctica. Many of you have never seen this knife. Do we just have some old-fashioned old parts?
Yeah, NOS parts.
So these are new old stock parts that were pulled out of the attic, and they've had some lovely sculpting and laser work done to them. And it's got this acid etch, contrast-based hardware, Vulcan blade. Are you out of your Vulcan mind? This thing's awesome. Guy said to me, hey, you know, I like your TFF1, but up here in the Northern Territories, you know, we got a lot of ice, so maybe you can make a new version of it. I'll buy a whole bunch of them for, you know, chopping into ice, and maybe on the pommel you could make it so it could chop into ice and, you know, around the cold stuff. And then maybe you could make the tip a little stronger too, you know, in case we're chopping into ice and poking into ice. I said, hey, man, I'm going to take the TFF1. I'm going to pimp the shit out of it, make it a little tougher, make the tip a little tougher, put a little thing on the hind end. Here's where we go. You got the Arctica, named after a Russian ice-breaking ship that cut across the North Pole. Super cool knife. Lot of artistic bling to it. And an absolute blast from the past. I did say that. Next, we've got a PVD and bronze ano MIDI Marauder that has steampunk gears and mechanics on one side. Just a lovely knife. Not too much to say about it. It's both understated and interesting all at the same time. Okay, last 2 knife offerings of the evening before we tell you about what's coming. So just to wrap things up before I jump into this. Jake, the Medford guy, has decided he bought the Praetorian Titan, and he wanted to do a bunch of marketing with it, and he did. It's been to every famous car show in the country. It's been in the hands of a bunch of billionaires. It's got a lucite vault made for it. I've never seen anything presentation-wise or execution-wise like it. There's guys making all kinds of intricate things. The total package is absolutely fucking absurd. It's super cool. He got his money's worth basically using it as a tool at these super high-end shows. So what he wants to do now is he wants to get that knife back to one of you. We're going to tell you how you do that in a minute. We're also going to show you our new OTF. I left it for last because people have been asking me about OTFs for 12 years. The day I made my first knife, they said, "Are you going to make an OTF?" The day I made my first Praetorian, they said, "Oh, that's so cool. When are you going to make an OTF?" I made my first auto, and they said, "That's great. When are you going to make your first OTF?" I signed up my first dealer, and they said, "Well, we'll take all you can make, but when are you going to make an OTF?" Our customer service is so good. People say, "Your customer service is awesome. I wish you made OTFs." So we made some OTFs. We're going to show you. So the last two knives of the evening from Baker Forge, we have some very cool Damascus. It's got copper layered into it. Now, when you make folders, the detent bearing on the spring rides across the face of the knife. Copper's quite soft compared to all of the steels, and it's very soft compared to the knife steels. So the normal smoothing that we do by leaving a sticker there, we're usually dealing with all hardenable metals. And we get a very hard surface for the bearing to ride across. And you'll see on my Damascus knives, you'll see a little clean stripe where it doesn't get etched. And that's so the bearing is smooth and it feels nice. The ball bearing in the detent, in the spring, on the frame. There's no way to do that on these copper knives because the copper, no matter what you do, is softer and the bearing is really hard and the bearing's going to notch down into the copper and it gives it a little bit of a brr, 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 brr kind of feel. Now, many of you, what?
Cardi B.
Cardi B. So many of you have felt this on other people's Damascus knives. It's not an accident. There's really no way around it when you've got copper layers in a knife. You want a knife that looks this unique, this cool, this original. This is really, really, I hate to say cutting edge stuff, but it's really interesting alloy they've put together, a really interesting layered material to make knives out of. And frankly, it might be better for fixed blades if that's going to annoy you. So I'm just telling you up front, because of that copper, the copper ribs that it runs across, you can feel it on the bearing, and there's just no way around it. Other than that, fucking ridiculous, beautiful, hard to wrap your brain around how pretty these are. So this is a Praetorian T. It's been stained glass, sculpted, and anodized, black opposing hardware, faced clip, and then it's got a full black and copper contrast Damascus blade. Just sick from the guys out at Baker Forge. Good for them for coming up with it. The stuff's pretty cool. We had some mass holes. Where are these guys from, these Baker Forge guys?
Somewhere in the Midwest.
We had some mass holes try and sell us some of this stuff a few years ago, and nobody ever followed through really well. These guys seem to have followed through, and my team jumped on it. So well done. Was that you, Jeff?
Actually, Thomas had referred us to the guy, Troy Baker.
Same thing with the Micro Praetorian that we're going to release today. It's got that same bearing. You can feel the bearing running across the Damascus. The other thing about copper is stuff doesn't stick to it very well. Now, there's going to be some Weisenheimers out there saying, that's why you're supposed to paint stuff on it. If we paint stuff on it, the same thing happens because the copper's so soft. So the blade material, the edge material is tough. It's hard. It can hold an edge. The sandwich pieces on the outside have got some layer of soft copper, which is okay because the outer thickness of the material is never meant to hold the edge. So you can put it out there. But on a folding knife where the bearing rides against it, it's a little bit of an annoyance for those of us who are into like modern, perfect, smooth clockmaker type actions. So you can feel it. It's got like a little bit of, I don't know. It's got like it's almost got like tread to it, or
The rumble strips.
Rumble strips. It's just got a little bit of bumpiness to it. It's not gritty. It's not rough. It's just got some bumpy running across the Damascus, the copper soft spots. Nothing to do about it. Sexy knife. PVD black or Armalube black, contrast face, and just yummy in every way. You want to have the most unique knife in any group, any line at Blade Show, any place you go anywhere, you whip out one of those. I don't care who they are, and I don't care if they hate my guts. They're going to go, oh my God, that's pretty cool. Super cool knife. All right. We have 2 things left to cover tonight. I've run just a little bit over. I apologize. The very first thing is, if you want to get in on the Titan, if you want to win the Titan, go to themedfordguy.com, themedfordguy.com. Jake's there. He wants to give the knife back to the community. Now, if you win the knife and you just got to go sell it, it's going to be a disservice to the knife, the brand, and the community. If you win it and love it and cherish it and have it become a really interesting part of your life or collection of things, that would be the greatest thing ever. And we'd love to talk to you over time and hear about it as the years go by. What he's decided to do is he's going to sell a certain number of, he's not selling tickets. What he's doing is he's taking deposits of $100 towards a knife. So what it means is you're going to pay him $100, and it's a direct $100 credit towards any knife in the next 2 years from him. You have to do that between now and the rules that he has on his website there at themedfordguy.com. If you put a deposit down, that money is, you'll get all that money back to buy a knife from him. It's just a delayed deposit is all it is. But if you do a purchase like that with him, a deposit with him, he puts you into the drawing, and at Blade Show 2023 in Atlanta, we're going to give the knife away live. We're just going to give it away to one of you guys. You don't have to be present. We're going to do it. We're going to we're going to cast it live. You don't have to be present, and you'll win a $100,000 knife. We're super excited about it. It's been all over the world. It's been in famous people's hands. It's been in oil magnates' hands. It's been in rulers of America's hands. It's been in hands all over. It's amazing. It's been all over. Been featured in cool magazines and amazing car shows and next to Bugattis. It's ridiculous. So the knife's got really cool provenance to it. Now, to the very last thing of the show, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Again, I want to thank everybody. Carlos, Austin, Bobby, Jason Langston for being here, helping with some last-minute items, and so much of the cool laser work you've seen tonight. I want to thank everybody at Medford Knife and Tool for all the help. Jeff and Lindsay in particular. Jeff for basically stressing out over the last month, putting this all together, shepherding all of these cats through so they all showed up in formation today. Lindsay for keeping order to it, execution, and getting it all out here today in front of you. I can't overstate how important it is to have a great team around you. People say, Greg, how do you do this? How do you come up with this? How do you do this? It is always about the team. It is always about the work. It is always about taking care of the customer. So I'm very grateful to all of you. Thank you. So now, drum roll, please. Our first out the front. This has been a long time coming. It was a bunch of work. We are done on the inside of the knife. We're now doing some process stabilization experiments to see what our leeway is on making these knives. I'll show them to you up close. This first batch you'll see on the outside, they've got hexagonals milled into them. You'll also notice there's no hardware holding these knives together. These clips are made in-house. When they're production, they will be a very tight version of this. These have right now a little bit of handmade to them, which will go away. These the thumb actuator is going to have some side sculpting on it. We just didn't want to do it for these models to be in time. If you want to take a look at the breaker on the end, only thing that's going to be a little different is going to be a little extra aluminum on the front and back that kind of saddles the clip so the clip can't index anywhere but in position. And then the hardware that locks on, it's got a ceramic breaker in the center, and it's got our 6-gun look to it. It's real subtle and easy on the hand. I know everybody wants to know about the action. It's the smoothest, cleanest sounding. If you've ever shot like a Benelli semi-automatic shotgun, after you've, say, fired maybe a Perazzi or a Browning, a simple over and under shotgun, when you shoot an over and under shotgun and when you pull the trigger, there's this like quick bang. There's nothing else. When you fire a Benelli or a semi-automatic shotgun, you just, there's all this stuff going on. And I always feel like that when I feel double action blades. I feel like there's a lot of stuff around. I'm going to put it out in a minute. I feel like there's a lot of stuff moving around. We spent a bunch of time. If you open this up, this is not a copy of an Ultratech. This is not a copy of a Microtech product. This doesn't look like everybody else's stuff on the inside. It's got a lovely, it sounds different. It feels different. The actuation is not grindy or rough feeling. It's silky smooth. I think the action is balanced and fun. And this is the Praetorian version of it. Now, the more mass you put into a blade like this, it mellows the action a little bit. This is a matter of balancing the expectation of the market, reliability of the product over years of use and thousands of cycles. It feels like there's nothing else going on but the blade going out and going back in. These knives, I don't know how else to say it. They're fucking cool. I put one in my dad's hand, and my dad was like, he just started chuckling. You know, my dad's 75 years old. And, you know, his hands, he's got a little bit of neuropathy from being having some diabetes. And he just started, he was like, he was just laughing. And he's like, I want one of those. That's my dad. And Amy's dad, who's 86 and an engineer, I put one in his hands, and he actuated it. And he's a pretty laconic guy, but all of a sudden, his face lit up like a 12-year-old little boy. And he was like, oh, and he goes, oh, it's smooth. He just kept playing with it. They're really neat. We have 100 of these. We're going to be probably serializing this knife in perpetuity, but we're definitely going to be serializing the first 100. So tonight, what we're offering you guys is 100 daggers and 100 Praetorians, S35 or S45 blade steel. I don't know what we're making them out of, but you'll like it. It's an aluminum chassis. You'll notice there's no hardware holding it together because that knife goes together like a Japanese puzzle box. It's an amazing product. The technology that went on the inside of that knife to make it so clean, it's hard to imagine and explain. When you open up that knife at some point, and I hope you don't, if you do open it up, and somebody will, and they're going to show video of it, on the inside of that knife, when you open it up, you can take the engine out. It doesn't spring fly everywhere and shit go bouncing around, and you got to call up the factory because you lost a pin. You can take the engine out, look at it, put it back in. You can take the engine out, drop it on a table, pick it up, put it back in. Japanese puzzle box, slide it together, attach one little thing, boom. And your knife should be working again perfectly. A lot of work went into that. And I have to just thank my cousin Steve for doing the mental hula hoops that's been required. I walk out and I say, no, I'd really like this. And he makes it happen. I said, no, I'd really like that. And he makes it happen. I said, no, I really want that hexagonal. He makes it happen. Hey, can we make this part thicker? He makes it happen. I look at the inside, my years of experience, seeing what breaks and what gets screwed up. And I say, hey, can we make that a little thicker? I'd like that a little different. Can we make this, can we change the sound? Can we make that a little shorter? I'd like more blade. One of the things you'll notice about this knife, I haven't done this yet, but we're going to do it. I guarantee you, if you lay this knife out and you do a grid of the surface area of the blade to the surface area of the handle, I guarantee you we have the highest blade to handle ratio in the business. That's what I am known for, blade. Sticking a big blade out there. It's got a lot of blade for a little automatic knife. Now, you can go on medfordknife.com/VHS 2022. It's there now. It's up. It's live, right, Austin? It's there up and live. This first 100 of each, they're $600. These are fucking hard to make. Everything in there is a pain in the ass to make. Now, when we get a little bit bigger, we're going to be a little bit better at making some of the parts, and the price is probably going to go down, probably around the 500 range, maybe a little bit lower. But we'll never have the first ones again. They're a little bit more, and honestly, someone said, hey, what's a OTF cost? I said, well, the first one cost $250,000. They're like, what? I'm like, the first knife's $250,000. Well, how can you say that? You should see the tooling. You should see the time, effort, energy, the machine that's been tied up, and the high-level craftsmen that's required to just make new technology. It's new. It's not what you think on the inside. Super cool. Well, I hope you guys love it. I want to thank you for coming. Thank everybody who was part of making the show happen. And we're going to do this again next year. We will see you out on the road. Carry knives. Carry guns legally. Be responsible. Be formidable. Be disagreeable. Be dangerous and restrained, because self-restraint is the noble human condition. There is no nobility in weakness. Carry a knife. Carry a gun. Walk in strength. We just want to be a little part of that. Thanks for being here. Greg Medford from Medford Knife, and everybody in the building, MKT USA and ASK Knives. Have a great Christmas, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, and all of that. Do it safely. Hope to see you guys out there on the road.